This episode is brought to you by the Revenue Method, the first system-agnostic advisory firm for rental housing and the only one certified in 6 distinct systems. Welcome to the first episode of the Revenue Dish podcast. I'm your host, Joni Shoemaker, and I couldn't be more excited to kick things off with today's guest. There's no one better to share this inaugural episode with than a true revenue management OG. She's had a remarkable career spanning operations, technology, and leading a revenue management advisory team for a major operator. For the past few years, she's been driving innovation as the industry principal for revenue intelligence at Entrata. In this episode, I sit down with Amy Roos to discuss some of the most pressing trends in revenue management today. Amy shares her insights on key trends in revenue management, common mistakes owners and operators make, and the importance of staying agile in today's environment. We also dive into how these systems can transform lease-ups and why choosing the right solution can make all the difference. Whether you're deep into revenue management or just getting started, this conversation is packed with insights you won't want to miss. It was an absolute pleasure to sit down with Amy, and I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Let's dish. Amy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Joni. I'm excited to be here today.
I'm thrilled to have you here today, and I really appreciate you sharing your time with us. I know when I was deciding on who my very first guest was going to be, it was a pretty easy choice. It had to be someone who was a true revenue management OG, and I couldn't have picked a better one. So thank you for agreeing to sit down and talk with me today.
Absolutely. It takes one to know one, Joni.
So I'm mostly excited for this conversation because I know that it's going to be incredibly relevant for so many of our listeners today. You and I have known each other for over a decade, but for those who don't know you, let's start with who you are and how you found the chair that you're sitting in today.
So today I'm the industry principal for revenue intelligence for Entrata. So I joined Entrata about 2 years ago and specifically looking for something different. I had been working with the student revenue intelligence product while I was at Greystar and knew that this was a growing piece of the business. So in that searching for something new and different and my ability to contribute to that, as we know, a lot of the systems that are around today have been around for 20 plus years. So I wanted to come and join that innovation that Entrata was offering around these products specifically.
Yep. Some of them have been around since the Stone Ages. Totally agree with you there. So can you share with us a little bit about what drives you personally in your role as an industry principal?
Overall, I'm excited with what Entrata is doing as an organization. There's been some recent acquisitions, such as Calling AI, and really the evolution of the products that we are offering. So as anyone who has been in multifamily knows, progress and change can be slow to happen. And so right now, there is so much change momentum and innovation occurring in this particular space. It's an exciting time to be here and to be with Entrata in particular.
Yep, for sure. So everyone loves talking about revenue management. I know I do. I talk about best practices and some of my favorite features that are making a big impact today. From your perspective, what are some of the most significant trends that you're seeing right now in revenue management with rental housing?
We're really seeing so many variables that need solutions. So things have really evolved in our business. So from the standard garden style community with the traditional structure of having a property manager, assistant manager, and leasing, and there's really also a shift in centralization that's occurring within individual multifamily providers. So this means that the tools need to serve a variety of strategies. Asset types, operational structures, rent regulations, so much has changed and occurred in the time that revenue management has been part of multifamily. So ultimately, where I see a shift is that having numerous layers involved in rate management within a provider doesn't serve the direction of the trends we're seeing. These tools need to be robust and nimble to empower the industry to operate efficiently, but also serve renters with competitive offerings.
So what is one misconception about revenue management that you hear or see pretty frequently?
This is such a great question. And it's very easy to focus on 50% of the rent roll. right? Or new lease pricing. There's so much talked about with that, so much of a focus on that, as if that's solely what these systems are seeking to solve for. So what I've always loved about working with these solutions is that it's holistic for how we're solving for revenue. And revenue is the entire picture. It's not just the rate. So time and again, I hear these tools are critical for today's modern era of leasing and advancement. So one misconception is that it's solving for rate when really it impacts so much more. So leasing, operations, asset management, and development, I could go on. So I tend to see improvements to performance, even if someone isn't using the tool well that they're using. And that's because it offers more than just delivering a rate. So it really helps to provide efficiency, if used well, insights, and support that to help housing providers make their own independent decisions about their respective business.
That segues so nicely into my next question, because I think one of the things that I love about what I do is helping owners and operators really get the most out of their revenue management tool, ensuring that they're using the right features and they're getting the best results. And so from your point of view, what is the biggest missed opportunity that you see with owners and operators using these systems, and how can they sort of close the gap to maximize their results?
So this really ties into my previous answer, which is whenever there is a singular focus driving decisions, such as our owners only want to see positive trade out, that actually negatively impacts performance since the system is working to solve much more holistically. An overly narrow directive and operating under that with these tools undermines the optimization and ultimately performance results. So what we should be doing from the tool standpoint is providing insight and information readily so that clients are empowered to talk to their owners and confidently speak to why this is a more holistic approach to solving for revenue. And so with that, they should be able to see the information and be able to speak to that information with how these systems are working. So we need to deliver quite a bit of transparency around that. So this is something that I would be looking for when I'm looking to adopt a tool.
So I personally have always been a big advocate for using revenue management on lease-ups, and I've seen the impact it can have firsthand. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though, on how revenue management fits into a lease-up and any best practices that you'd recommend.
So generally speaking, if you are working with a spreadsheet to make decisions on a multi-million-dollar asset, there will be missed opportunities. So this might seem contradictory since new lease-ups tend to focus on new lease pricing, but I have some reasons why I am going to say I'm pro using revenue management on a lease-up. So some of these reasons start with the fact that when these projects are being projected, writing performas, getting the loans, delivery, permitting, this takes a very long time. So things could have shifted dramatically in the market from the inception of the project to when we're actually delivering and needing to price units. So I think it's really important that you are able to capture what's happening today. And so revenue management does just that. It's providing the recommendations based on current trends, what's happening with your specific unit types, groupings, things like that. And I'm going to do a little plug here, but I particularly like Entrata's revenue intelligence solution because it solves at the unit type level. So you get a true picture of how the market is responding to that. And it incorporates the advertised pricing. So what we're testing or trying to see what the market can bear. So another reason is that it really helps to keep the competitiveness there within that market, within those particular circumstances. And so this gives a much clearer picture of where you're at today so that you can make those decisions around the lease up and the impacts that are having from when you made those initial projections. So again, this centers a lot around new lease pricing, but the systems solve holistically. So the other piece of this is that it's solving for future performance. And I think a lot of savvy acquisitions know that inheriting a poor lease expiration management schedule can be very impactful. So this is solving for all of those elements for a lease up in a way that really helps to support those decisions around what's happening.
Totally agree. I could talk all day about the benefits of using it on a lease up. We could have a whole separate podcast for that.
Yes, it's a much different and another variable that we're looking to help support and provide insights into that's different than that traditional type of leasing demand patterns.
Yeah. But it really is an exciting time for the industry. I think for those looking to invest in a revenue management system today, what sort of advice would you give them when choosing the right solution?
Okay, so I think there are three things I'm gonna talk about with this, and I am going to be a little biased here since I think we've done an incredible job with what we have developed and continue to develop with Entrata's revenue intelligence solutions. But with that lens in mind, I came to Entrata for something new and innovative, right? And when I transitioned from being a client to working on the product itself, there were things that I heard along the way that I wanted to have the right solution for. And so these are things that I would be looking for. And the first is ease of understanding. There are a lot of insights available from a lot of data in the industry, particularly public data like pricing on the internet. I had to become an expert in order to interpret how to really leverage that information to help clients optimize their respective business and better serve renters. So the methodology should be sophisticated. There should be complexity around how an optimal rate is being produced. The ability to understand and leverage the value of the solution should be very straightforward. So the second thing is to alleviate the burden. Doing a daily or several times a week routine of having to shift settings, limit volatility, discuss smaller changes, $5, $10 at multiple levels in the organization, in my view, shouldn't be necessary. That slows down operations and takes time and resources away from serving renters. So the system should help streamline operations and reduce burdens, not become a burden itself. So the tool should be nimble enough to accommodate individual business strategies and then be able to give that additional support to making those decisions without having to intervene so routinely with what's happening with the settings and volatility within the system. And then lastly, the results should be driven by the tool, but also with independent decision making. So I think your revenue manager, your advisor, consultant, regionals should have the ability to be nimble, be high level, and strategic in their decision making with the tools supporting that effort. So it really kind of elevates the conversation around performance instead of those particulars around specific $10, $20 changes. So when you are doing that and spending so much time on the new lease pricing, and this is where I'm going to bring full circle my whole talking point around holistic solutions, you're not really getting that result, right, of the holistic solve. So the results for what the system truly offers is to optimize a client's business and then also the competitive offerings. So I would say consider a solution that allows someone engaging with it to be a thought leader versus a manager.
Well, that is a heck of a close. Amy, this conversation has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being such a fantastic first guest and for sharing your insights. I know our listeners are walking away with some real value today.
Thank you so much, Joni. It was truly a joy to be here, and I always love talking with you.